next to the mouth or oral cavity is pharynx. Look at this diagram, relationship between mouth, pharynx and esophagus. This region is called pharynx. Next part of the mouth or oral cavity is pharynx. It is somewhat swollen structure, and actually pharynx is the junction point of nasal cavity. This is nasal cavity. This is oral cavity, and this is larynx. So this region is called pharynx. That is the junction point of nasal cavity, oral cavity and larynx. Pharynx is divided into three parts. The part nearer to nasal cavity, this region is called nasopharynx, and pharynx nearer to oral cavity, this is called oropharynx, and part of the pharynx nearer to larynx is called laryngopharynx. So pharynx is divided into nasopharynx, oropharynx and then laryngopharynx. What is the function of What is the function of pharynx? It receives bolus from oral cavity. So this is the function of pharynx, receives bolus from oral cavity and pushes it towards esophagus. This is the esophagus. Okay, and at this time, this is epiglottis. This is epiglottis. Remain closed at the time of swallowing and prevents entry of food particle into the larynx. And now this diagram shows the relationship between mouth, pharynx and esophagus. Look at this diagram. This is tongue. This is oral cavity. This is oral cavity. This is the roof of the oral cavity, that is palate. This black portion is hard palate and this portion is soft palate. And I am told earlier that this is tongue. This is our lip, upper lip. This is upper lip and this is lower lip. And this is nasal path and this is external nares, and this portion I told earlier is pharynx, and this is actually trachea. trachea, and esophagus lies behind the trachea. So this diagram represents the relationship between mouth, pharynx, and esophagus. Here you look, there is an opening. This is the opening of eustachian tube. We know that what is eustachian tube? This is the lateral wall of the pharynx. Lateral wall of the pharynx. On the lateral wall of the pharynx, there is an opening. This opening is for eustachian tube. And there is another structure. Lymphatic tissues of pharynx. Within the pharynx, there are several patches of lymphatic tissue. So, these are the lymphatic tissues. Lymphatic tissues. So, lymphatic tissues of pharynx and oral cavity. This is gullet. This is gullet. Form a ring-like structure. Form a ring-like structure. And this ring-like structure is called valve Dare ring. So, this is all about pharynx. And next come esophagus. Esophagus. Next part of the pharynx is called esophagus. Next part of the pharynx, this is a pharynx. Next part of the pharynx is called esophagus. So this is esophagus. It lies behind the trachea, I told earlier. And this esophagus is a muscular tube. It is about 25 centimeter in length. 23 centimeter, this portion lies within the thoracic cavity and rest 2 centimeter in the abdominal cavity. This is abdominal cavity and this is thoracic cavity. So total length of the esophagus is 25 centimeter. Of it, 23 centimeter lies within the thoracic cavity and rest 2 centimeter lies within the abdominal cavity, that is below the diaphragm. This is diaphragm. Now, what is the function of esophagus? Esophagus receives bolus from the pharynx and send this bolus into the stomach, and here we find peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement. Peristalsis a common type of movement. This peristalsis consists of two waves. One wave of relaxation and another is wave of contraction. Due to this peristalsis, this bolus is pushed into the stomach. And there is another one point. This esophagus ends at stomach. So next part of the esophagus is stomach. What is the function of Weldier's ring? These lymphatic tissues produce immunoglobulin A and plays a vital role in the immunity system of our body. So this is all about pharynx and esophagus.